everyone. Thanks for joining us. It looks like we already have everybody logged in, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to let Christine go over some housekeeping before we start the content.
So can I have a raise of hands from those of you that can hear me? I just want to make sure our microphones are working okay and you can hear everything we're saying. Just a couple more hands are waiting on maybe. Okay, I'll carry on anyways. If anybody's having an issue and see that we're advancing slides so you can't hear us for any reason, just write that in the chat box and let us know. The chat box is on your dashboard, so if you open that up and have anything to say, feel free to write your text there. We do want to get to know everyone that's on the webinar today, so if you are participating and just want to pop in and say hi, if you can write your name and the school board you're joining us from, that'd be great, so we can welcome you all to today's webinar. And lastly, you will get a link to the video recording afterwards. So we thank you for participating in today's webinar.
So who are we? We start off all of our webinars with a quick introduction about the Ontario Agricultural College and specifically the Student Liaison Program. So what we do in the Liaison Program is we build awareness of the academic career pathways in agriculture, environment, communities, and our topic today, which is business. So we hope to share some information about job opportunities, also about academic programs, but also where you can find resources to introduce some of these topics in your class.
So just a webinar at a glance. In this webinar, we'll be talking about business specifically, but we'll be covering the job market landscape. We'll also talk a bit about the academic programs we have in the OAC and at the University of Guelph in general. We'll make a couple of career connections and share the stories of 2 recent grads that are now working in their discipline of agri-food business. And the main focus of the webinar is going to be providing you with resources that you can use or take advantage of when talking with students about education and careers in agri-food business.
So I don't know if I have to share this stat again, but I love to talk about it. In a recent survey that we did with employers in agriculture and food sectors is that there are 4 jobs for every 1 grad coming out of our programs going into the agriculture and food sector in Ontario. But in addition to that, we collected some other information from a couple of different sources. So one of those is USA Today. This summer, they did an article on college majors. So in Canada, we call those university majors. They call them colleges. And they wanted to write the article to share what majors have the lowest unemployment. Agricultural economics had the 2nd lowest unemployment rate at just 0.75%. That's pretty incredible. They also had an average salary in US dollars of $71,000 annually, which we can't directly connect it to Canadian dollars, but if we were, it would be around 90 grand a year. So that's pretty impressive. So I would also like to point out some additional information for our planning for tomorrow's survey, which is about co-op. So while we did that survey with Ontario employers in the agri-food sector, we received feedback about co-op and that employers are really interested in grads that have co-op experience. They said that grads that have co-op and internship experience are much further ahead and more successful than those without. They also highlight the importance of soft skill development and being able to interview well, which co-op definitely does for students. And Christine will tell you more about that later and connect that to a couple of our programs. There are also 1 in 8 jobs in Canada that are tied to the agricultural sector. So that's pretty impressive as well. So this isn't just specific to business, this is just jobs overall. So it is such an important part of our country, especially to our province, and especially when we talk about things like business, there are so many different ways to be connected with the agriculture sector here in Canada and in Ontario. So who hires our jobs? Who hires our jobs? Who gives jobs to our grads? So this list of employers here is some examples of who are hiring our grads that are graduating from our business-related programs. So as you can see, these companies can be local, they can be global, and they're hiring people in positions like account management, marketing, data analysis. The options are really endless. Some of those employers you might recognize, some of them you might not, but this is really just naming a few.
So we do have a question for you like we do in all of our webinars, and we'd love if you kept this in mind throughout and answered at the end in the chat box as well. What do you think is most attractive about a career in business to you? So it doesn't have to be about agri-food business specifically, just business in general. And we want to know why you think it might be so popular to you to pursue a career in business. So we'll circle back to this at the end, and if you can share your responses then in the chat box, that'd be great. So I'll talk more about co-op education. This is a great opportunity for students to take advantage of in their undergraduate degree. And it is available as an option with specific degree majors. So specifically the Bachelor of Bioresource Management in Food Industry Management and Bachelor of Commerce in Food and Agricultural Business only, of the ones we're talking about today. It's a chance for students to extend their learning beyond the classroom. They also get to develop work-related skills and network with professionals in your field. So it's really great. This point's really great to make because it is about who you know quite often. And if you make a great connection with an employer through a summer job or a co-op position, then you could get hired by them full-time at the end of your degree when that's complete. Co-op does involve 3 to 5 paid work terms that alternate with academic semesters. And these are full-time work hours while they're on the work term. So they study or they work like a full-time employee, get paid like a full-time employee, and then while they're in their academic semesters, they study full-time. So they're not doing 2 things at once. They're focused solely on their co-op position or their academics. And then upon graduation, they do receive a co-op's education certificate, which, as we mentioned before, this is really great, and employers love to see that they've had hands-on experience in their field. Experiential learning, that's another huge opportunity that students have to take advantage of through their undergraduate experience. So there's a variety of ways that they can get experiential learning while on campus. One of these is through a certificate program. So it's in addition to their overall degree. So students would take a required number of courses that promote specialized knowledge and skill development through hands-on experiences and classroom learning. So this is taken alongside their degree. So for example, we have a couple of different certificates, and there is one specifically in leadership or marketing management. So these are the 2 business-related certificates. There's also community engaged learning programs where they actually partner with a community organization and learn through a hands-on way that way. We also have field courses on campus. So this prepares students for professional work through firsthand investigation and analysis in a field location. So that's off campus. So for example, there is one course in international agriculture where students travel to Costa Rica and visit farms and understand their business models, etc. So that's a really cool opportunity for students to travel and learn. On campus, which is kind of new, they have the Hub Incubator Program. So this is a really neat opportunity where students can leverage resources, space, mentorship, and funding, and they can engage in the early stage development of startups. So any kind of idea they have, they can put into play and action in the Hub. And they can also advance external ideas that address real world problems and needs. New last year also is a Flex internship course. So this is a course where students actually do a 40-hour internship for credit, and they experience work in their field of study. So they actually get to develop real work experience too. So they kind of set some goals for what they want to learn and get out of it, and then they reflect on those at the end of it. And then there's a whole pile of clubs that we have on campus. Just to name a few that are related to business is the Student Federation of the OAC, which is open to all OAC students, the College Royal Society, the Canadian Agri-Marketing Association, the student chapter, Lang Economics and Finance Students Association, the University of Guelph Marketing Society, JDC Central Guelph, which is Jeu de Commerce, Spoon University of Guelph chapter, and then the Young Economist Society. So these are just to name a few of the clubs and student societies we have on campus. And then lastly, we also have tons of study abroad and exchange opportunities. So we're partnered up with universities across the world, and students can go experience their academics in a different country and then get credit back to Guelph for their overall degree.
All right, we're going to move into talking about some of our academic programs that we have noted in some of our previous slides. So the first one I'll talk about is the Bachelor of Arts, Food and Agricultural Resource Economics. So this is a Bachelor of Arts program majoring in food, agriculture, and resource economics. We call it FAIR for short. This program is for students that are interested in applied economics. So what that means is it's how markets work and how they don't work. They might be interested in policy issues or issues with spillover beyond agriculture that could include resource use, food issues, and in some cases, global development. So there's a lot of opportunity here to be a little more flexible with your degree as well. So you can tailor that to what you're interested in and of course take some of those international field study courses that Christine mentioned.
So here's another recent grad's pathway and story through their educational experience. So this is Vanessa. She was a food and agricultural business. This is Anita. She's a food agriculture resource economics grad. She got some great work experience in the summers between academic years in her program. So she started as a summer research intern with BASF, which is a crop input company. Then she became a sales intern for them. So she was focusing more on the business side of the crop input company, which is kind of neat to have both experiences throughout. And then later in her undergraduate degree, she was a customer service specialist with Syngenta, which is another crop input company. Throughout high school and university, she was a harvest crew member for a local farm near her. So she got that real work experience with the farm and got to understand how that operated throughout their harvest and growing periods. And then after she graduated, she got a full-time position with Lakeside Grain and Feed as a crop input specialist and representative, where she's able to utilize the skills she gained in the FAIR program. So she has a really strong understanding of the agricultural economy, as well as marketing and customer service. She helps customers decide what crops they should grow and identifies opportunities to help them succeed through the sales of grain and crop input solutions.
All right, the next program that we want to share with you is the Bachelor of Commerce, Food and Agricultural Business. So again, the degree is a Bachelor of Commerce, so a business degree, and we're majoring in food and agricultural business. So I do want to point out that co-op is available for this program. It does change the length of your program slightly, so it'll take you 5 years to complete opposed to 4, because those work terms do extend the period of time it takes you to complete all of your academic courses. But it's totally worth it. As Christine already mentioned, a lot of the co-op employers will already have offered jobs to the students that have worked with them because they're so happy with the experience that they've gained, but also with their performance. So this program is for students that are interested in business and private enterprise, largely in the agriculture space, but also includes some food as well. So you get to explore different topics through a lot of project and case-based courses that really help to enhance those entrepreneurial skills.
So this is Vanessa. She is a recent graduate of the Food and Agricultural Business program. Vanessa grew up on a dairy farm where she always was involved with her family and helping to manage the herd. Throughout high school, Vanessa got experience as a customer service cashier at a grocery store. In summers between academic years, she worked as a client advisor with RBC. And then upon graduation, she got a full-time job with TD as an agricultural service associate. So since then, she's held the position as an agriculture service analyst as well. And then she's now an agricultural account manager. So in this role, she works with clients to see if they're financially viable to purchase large farm expenditures, such as machinery or lands. She does say that the agriculture business program connects to this on many levels. The few major ones being that she learned how to do general financial analysis in a variety of different classes that she took while on campus, and also learn the economic volatility of the agriculture industry. So she feels that this is super important to understand in her job, as the weather conditions or quota systems affect her clients on a daily basis.
So comparatively, if you're looking at the high school requirements for these two programs, which is really important to understand when we're having these conversations with youth, you need to have both that English at the grade 12 university level as well as advanced functions. But for the Bachelor of Commerce, so the business degree, food and agricultural business, you do need an additional math course. Whereas for food and agricultural resource economics, the arts degree, we're just looking for 5 additional university level or M level courses. And then on the flip side, then for FAB. You can see that the cutoff ranges are similar. But I do want you to keep in mind that anytime you look at a cutoff range or a student is looking at a cutoff range, that those numbers are based on previous years and that the average needed to receive an offer can fluctuate up or down each year depending on the applicant pool that they're in. So it could be a really competitive group or a less competitive group. It really depends on the year, but this is a really great indication of the range that you should be comfortably in when applying to the program.
Just to showcase some of the careers that a graduate could receive in business. So in the food, agriculture, resource economic program specifically, someone that graduated from this program could be an agri-food entrepreneur, business and market or policy analyst, an economic development advisor, a finance and insurance account manager, resource and land management consultant. And then some jobs that someone could get from a food and agricultural business degree could include an entrepreneur, a banking and investment account manager, a business and market analyst researcher, a commodity trader, or marketing manager. So these are just some of the many jobs that people could have in business, but the programs we offer in the OAC give them a strong foundation of knowledge about agriculture and food specifically. They make a graduate a good candidate for these jobs that require some of the specific knowledge in agriculture.
All right, so the next degree program that I want to share with you, and this has multiple majors, is Bachelor of Bioresource Management. So this degree is unique to the University of Guelph, and it is half business and then also half science, which is so valuable in today's workforce. So feedback from employers were that they wanted students to have technical skills, but also have organizational management and financial literacy. And that's really what this degree delivers. So those three majors that we offer include food industry management, environmental management, and equine management. So a really great example of a recent grad is a grad named Kevin. He graduated in 2018. And from graduating from that program, he's now working as the station manager at Algonquin Wildlife Research Station. So that is such a cool job, and he was really equipped to succeed in that role because he has all of the environmental science knowledge that he needs to be successful at a research station, but he also has the organizational management to complement and be in a leadership position at that employer's organization. So we really do love our BBRM program and that really great merriment between science and business that it has. Again, looking at those high school requirements, you can see they're a little bit different for each, as well as those cutoff ranges change a little bit. I won't go through all of them for you, but it is something important to recognize, especially the food industry management, because it is incorporating a little bit more science. It does have more science requirements than the other two options. Okay, I did want to talk to you also about some of the other business programs that are offered at the University of Guelph from the Lang School of Business. So we've been working more closely with Lang School of Business this year, and we are working on building more offerings for high school students and teachers, specifically related to SHSM programming in business and in hospitality and tourism management. The Lang School of Business is a fantastic group on campus, so we're all organized into organizational units. And they have 9 different majors that you can choose from at the undergraduate level. They're also top 5 nationally for MBAs in sustainability. They're number 4 in Canada for their research output in economics. And they have around 4,000 current students across the undergraduate, graduate, and executive level programs. Now, those 9 majors include accounting, food and agricultural business, management, management economics and finance, marketing management, real estate and housing, sport and event management, which is brand new, hospitality and tourism management, as well as public management. And the required courses, again, are listed there for you, as well as the cutoff ranges. So Christine already talked about some of the applied and experiential learning opportunities, but just to introduce another option that's really unique to the Lang School of Business is that we do have an on-campus restaurant that students get to learn both the front and back of the house management skills. So really that full circle, which can be really valuable, especially for our hospitality and tourism management program, but also available to other programs as well. And again, as a reminder, those case study competitions opportunities to study abroad, as well as doing certifications, can be a really great complement to any one of those business degrees.
So now on to the resources that we have for you as educators and your students. As many of you that have joined us before are already aware of, we offer a variety of different resources in the Liaison program to you as educators. So you can help facilitate conversations about careers and educational pathways in this sector. Typically, we would offer in-class workshops, on-campus experiences, curriculum-linked lesson plans, and professional development. We're currently in the development phases of coming up with some new resources in the area of agri-food business specifically. So we do have a quick poll question for you. The question is, what of these would you like to see more of? If you just take a second to answer the poll, it should be there on your screen now.
So we are piloting some in-class workshops and on-campus experiences, but because we're developing more and more of those, we really would appreciate the direction of what would be most valuable to you.
We'll just leave it open for 20 more seconds to let the other voters vote. Okay, we'll end the polling now. That's okay. So just to show you what the results were, we had a couple of respondents say they'd prefer some on-campus experiences, which is great because those are the ones we're focusing most on right now. We'll also develop some curriculum like lesson plans, which is what you'd also want, and professional development for educators. That will also likely come sometime in the future. And if you have any specific recommendations for what specifically you'd like to see developed in the future about agri-food business resources, if you just enter those in the chat box, you can do it anonymously or to us as the facilitators personally. The feedback is always great because we want to make sure we're on the right track in providing you with what you'd like.
So moving on, we wanted to talk about some of the resources that are ready to go from some of our educational partners. First one that I want to talk about is Agscape. So Agscape is the voice of agriculture in the classroom in Ontario, and they, like us, they strive to engage youth in food and agriculture. One of their initiatives is the Teacher Ambassador Program, and its intention is to spark student interest in agriculture careers and provide support for teachers to bring agriculture and food education into the classroom. These are free lesson plans. They're about 60 to 75 minutes in length, and they're delivered by Ontario certified teachers, also linked to Ontario curriculum. So they have 12 different topics for students in grades 7 to 12. One lesson plan that I think you'll especially be interested in that's related to business is business and economics of food. So in this program, students will be able to learn about and identify the 4 types of business ownership and economic sectors. They'll understand how market competition can affect product consumption and also understand benefits and challenges of international trade on agriculture. They'll also identify different career opportunities in agriculture, which is just really so important to make those connections. Like we said earlier with our question, business is really popular among youth, but they're not always making that tie to food and agriculture. So that's really important. Another opportunity that you might be interested in is the Business of Food online course for Ontario educators and teacher candidates. So this program provides foundational knowledge to educators to support them teaching and leading conversations around the agri-food industry with students in their classrooms. So you can take a look at either one of those opportunities by visiting their website or by contacting Mercedes Unwin from Agscape, and her contact information is just up there on the screen. And as we mentioned before, we will email you out the presentation afterwards, so you don't need to rush to write that down. That'll be right there in the presentation for you to follow up.
So another partner we work closely with is 4-H Ontario, and for those of you that aren't aware of 4-H, It is a positive youth development organization that spans across the world and across the country. They work to build youth as leaders within their communities, and it is open to all youth of all backgrounds. So it is focused on youth ages 6 to 21, and they have a variety of hands-on activities that they can partake in. So the way it works is that there's local associations across Ontario and in most areas across the country that youth are welcome to get involved in. They complete a club project, some of the ones related to agri-food business that they can take part in if they're offered locally are consuming passions, farm-to-table connections, marketing 4-H, financial fitness, which as you all are probably aware of, that's super important as it focuses on financial literacy, future focus, and then leadership. So if someone was interested in getting involved, you can encourage your students to do so and connect with their local associations and start joining some of these great clubs that are offered. So we're now back to the question we asked you at the beginning. What do you think is most attractive about a career in business to youth? So if everyone could just take a minute to write their response to that in the chat, either just directly to us as facilitators or the entire panel, that'd be awesome. So just to remind you of some upcoming webinar dates, you might already be registered, you might not be, but in February we have plants and agriculture, March we've got animals, and then April we'll be covering the environment. So we are taking a couple months break just for the holidays and while you all finish out your semesters.
I'm most excited about animals, mostly because that's my background. So I'm super excited for that one. So we'll have a lot of really great content prepared for you there.
And I'm pretty pumped for environment myself.
So I'm not going to wrap it up now. I would like to open up for questions so we can really have a great conversation around business and agri-food business specifically and how that relates to youth. So we're going to stay on the line for a while. So if you have questions, please share those. Comments, also, again, bringing it back to what do you think is most attractive about a career in business to youth? Okay, so we have one attendee that shared that students like the ability to think outside the box and to deal with producers and consumers and produce a great supply of food. So that's the last point. I think the great supply of food is really interesting because we do get a lot of feedback now that this generation of youth is really interested in being part of world problems, so solving world problems. So tying it back to that is a really great point. So another participant said environment and food sustainability, a wide variety of opportunities, careers, and being able to travel. And I think that those are all really great points too. I think that having a variety of different opportunities, so really having that choice is really important. A lot of the time when I think about business, I think about, how many offshoots of business there really is. So being involved, in more human resources, supply chain management, marketing, analytics. A really cool story of a friend of mine. So he did his graduate degree actually in food and agriculture resource economics. He works for a company called Revenue Management Solutions, and he's the director of analytics there. So what he does is he actually prices food items for restaurants, and one of their clients is actually McDonald's, which is really interesting. So they have a number of different clients, and they can look at consumer behavior and what sort of drives their decisions, and also combine that with commodity prices and come up with solutions for their clients about what price point is best for them to be the most successful. And I just think that that's really so cool and not something that I ever thought about as being someone's job, but of course it is. So I think that that career point is also really important, that we need to paint those sort of pictures for youth so that they can envision them in those roles.
If you don't have any comments or questions or suggestions in mind right now, you can also feel free to email us at any point in time. So our contact information is on the slide right there, or myself that I emailed you earlier with a reminder and the link to this. If you have any questions in the future or suggestions for our program development, we're always happy to hear from you.
Okay, I think that we're about to wrap it up if there's no other comments. So thank you again for joining us, especially right before your weekend. So we'll hope to see you in the new year for our webinar that's in February. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, have a great holiday and rest of your semester.